Jesus is Dyn-O-mite. This means that Jesus is powerful. The word dynamite comes from a Greek word, dunamis, which means power. Do you remember when Jesus was in a storm and all of the disciples worked really hard to get their boat to shore, but they failed? Then Jesus stood up and talked to the storm. The hurricane-force winds listened to him. Jesus did not use magic. He did not tap into any source of power, but Jesus is power. Jesus is Dyn-O-mite. And then Jesus got to land and met a demon-possessed man. Other people had tried to help him in the past, but they all failed. Again, we saw that Jesus simply spoke, and the situation was made better. Jesus is Dyn-O-mite. After that incident, Jesus got back into the boat and sailed to the other side of the lake. As soon as he got on the land, a huge crowd surrounded him. In this crowd was a synagogue leader named Jairus. Being a synagogue leader meant that Jairus was a person of high morality. He was wealthy, and he was well known in his town. But none of this mattered. When he saw Jesus, he fell at Jesus' feet. This is not usual for someone in his position, but he did it because he was in great need. His daughter was sick. No, that isn't even right. His daughter was on her deathbed. She was only a little girl of 12 years old. So can you imagine the compassion that Jesus had for Jairus? Jesus agreed to go, which makes us all happy because we know that Jesus can help, because Jesus is Dyn-O-mite. But then Jesus takes a detour. While Jesus is going to Jairus, he is walking in a large crowd. And then Jesus stops everyone and he says, "Someone touched me." The disciples look at him as though he's crazy. Of course someone touched you. It is impossible to move without touching someone. But Jesus had felt some of his power, his Dyn-O-mite, go out of him. And he needed to know who did it. The one who touched him was a woman who had been suffering for 12 years. She had gone to doctors, but they only made her suffering worse. Not only did her suffering cause her pain, but everyone else called her unclean, and they kicked her out of society. So when she learned that Jesus was coming, she got a plan. If I can just touch the edge of his garment, I will be healed. So she snuck up to Jesus in the crowd. And it was then that Jesus, Dyn-O-mite, transferred into her, and she was healed. So when Jesus asks who touched him, this woman knows that he means it's her. The problem is that when she touched Jesus, she was breaking the law, because she was considered unclean, and no one who is unclean can touch a rabbi like Jesus. She could be in big trouble if she answers Jesus' call. But she does it anyways. And because she does, Jesus speaks with her and transforms her from a woman who sought after God because of superstition into someone who seeks after God because she can have a relationship with God. Now, what do you think Jairus is feeling at this point? He must have been quite nervous, and he was probably getting mad. Why would Jesus waste time at this crucial moment? And then the worst happens. A man comes to Jairus and tells him that his little girl is dead. Jairus must have believed that she died because Jesus neglected her. But Jesus looks directly at Jairus and tells him not to be afraid, but to believe. So Jesus still goes to Jairus' house, and he grabs the dead girl by the hand, and he says, "Talitha kum," which basically means, "Honey, it's time to get up." Instantly the girl got up. She was back alive after after having been dead. Jesus is Dyn-O-mite! If Jesus has us by the hand, then death is just like a nap. So let us grasp Jesus by the hand so that we can experience Jesus Dyn-O-mite. If we do, we will discover that Jesus Dyn-O-mite isn't just powerful, but it is love. That is the kind of explosion that we should all want to be caught up in.